When we all find ourselves on our giant X shape, the first thing that I'd like you to do is notice what happens when your body just lands on the floor. And so you'll start to notice which parts of the body touch the floor, which parts of the body feel like they lift up and away from the floor. And then if you'd like to, you can start to point and flex your feet so that your heels push into the floor and you can create a vibration, a rocking up and down along your spine. And you really have to more internally or neutralize your legs so that your feet, your heels can dig into the floor and it creates a gentle rocking up and down the spine. And after you've done a couple of those, you'll just take a moment to let the movement settle and come into a still neutral spot and just notice what's happening in the breath. Notice what's happening in the body. Our ability to ground in the present moment always gives us the ability to choose and the ability to be responsive in the way that we wish to be. On your next in-breath, let's start to extend out through our arms just a bit more and then arc your hands up and over to your right. Once your hands are up and over to the right, grab your left wrist with your right hand. And then you might reposition your head. So maybe you're looking towards your left armpit, maybe towards the left side of the mat. From here, see if you can maybe walk your ribs a little bit more towards the right. Notice how that feels on your left side body. And some of you will stay right here. Some of you will sweep your left leg over to your right leg. And some of you will stay right there. Some of you will cross your right ankle on top of your left ankle. And you'll just take a moment to let the whole left side of your body become long. And you'll just breathe for a couple breaths on this left side body, noticing where you can allow more of the body to fall into the floor, and maybe noticing where the body is wishing to come up and away from the floor. Okay, we're going to gently reverse this. So you're going to release the hands first. Bring the head back to center and just pause and notice what it feels like to have the legs slightly over to your right. And then when you're ready, you'll uncross your right ankle and then open back up into that X shape. And again, just notice what it feels like to be here. What do you notice between the right side and the left side? And then as you're ready, we'll try that on the other side. So reach your arms up and overhead and arc them over towards your left. And then grab your right hand with your left wrist and just see if you want to inch more of your torso up and over to your left and just breathe onto that side. Some of you will stay right here. Some of you will slide your right leg over to meet your left and just pause with the legs parallel to each other right there. See how that feels. Some of you will cross your left ankle over your right ankle and just notice what it feels like to find that extra length all along your right side body. You're just pausing and you're breathing. You're maybe looking over to your right armpit, right shoulder. Yeah. And then when you're ready to come out of this, you start with a hand. So you release your hands, you bring the head and spine back to center and just leave the legs a little bit over there. And notice if you notice anything subtle happening on the sides of the legs, then uncross your left ankle and open your right leg back into that X shape. Yeah. And then once you find yourself back here, again, make your legs parallel, press down into your heels and point and flex your feet to see if you can rock a little bit through the spine. It sometimes feels like there's just a little jostling going up and down the vertebra, rocking on the skull. Fantastic. Then go ahead and come to stillness here. Arms are still open. Bend your knees and plant your feet on the floor. Okay, from here, you're going to push through your feet, lift your hips up and slide your pelvis to the right and put your butt back down. And then open your legs back out into that X shape. So that's going to be weird. Your butt's slightly to the right, but your legs around an X. Cool. Now your right leg is going to reach all the way over to your left foot, and your left foot is going to go back to where your right leg was. So you're going to cross the right leg over the left leg under, making this X shape. and then reach out through your arms. And so as the right leg is going all the way to the left, super long and straight, see if you can maybe find 2 feet apart between your legs. So your legs are really separating. And then you're going to reach out through your right arm and out through your right foot. Cool. Let's come back to our backs. Roll up to sit. Let me show that pose because that seemed a little wonky. Okay. So we're going to lift our pelvis up, slide it to one side. Our legs are going to crisscross, and we're going to find this giant X shape here. So especially for those of us with back stuff, this is a fun stretch to try to unwind the pelvis. Does that make sense? Okay, let's try it again. So lay down on your backs. Bend your knees, lift your hips, slide your pelvis to the right and put your butt back down. And then you'll start to extend out through your legs. Your right leg is going to cross over to the left leg is going to cross over to the right. And now when you're in this X shape with your legs, reach up through your right arm, reach down through your right leg, reach down through your left leg and up through your left arm. So you feel like there's this huge traction happening. And the more you can let your pelvis go towards the left as you reach back to the right with your left foot, you'll find a nice stretch happening in the pelvis, the low back, and then lengthen up through that right arm, and you might feel an elongation across your chest. When you're ready, you'll gently roll back onto your backs. You'll re-lift the pelvis, drop back to center, and just take a moment in center to notice if you notice anything different between the right and the left sides. And then when you're ready, we'll try that again. So bend your knees if the legs are straight, push through your feet, lift your hips, slide your butt to the left and put your butt down, straighten out through the legs. And then you're going to cross your left leg over to the right leg over to the left, extend out into your arms. So your left arm goes up, your left toes go down, your right arm goes up, your right toes go down, and you're finding this X shape in the legs and in the arms, and elongation, really, especially through the left hand and the left foot. Pelvis is coming towards the right, that top left hip bone at least. Nice work. And then when you're ready, you'll gently come back onto your backs. Bring your pelvis back to center. Take a moment to extend out through the legs and just notice if you notice anything between the right side and notice anything between the left side. Great. Okay, next one, still playing with that X shape. Open your arms more into a T shape. Keep your legs as they are. Now, your left hand, we're going to imagine, has light shooting out your fingertips. You're going to start to curve your fingertips towards the palm of your hand. And then your fingers will start to curl even towards your elbow, and then curl towards your chest, and then curl towards your right chest, and then curl towards your right elbow, and then curl towards your right wrist, and then curl past your right fingers. All the while you're reaching out through your left hip as you keep reaching your right fingers all the way to your left hand. Left hand all the way to your right fingers, maybe all the way to the floor and past the floor. And as you keep reaching your left hand more and more and more to the right, your left foot is reaching away in opposition, and then you're breathing. Nice job. And then gently unwind back onto your back and just take a moment to notice if you notice anything. Okay. And then when you're ready, we'll try that on the other side. So now your right fingers are going to curl towards the palm, they curl towards the elbow, they curl towards the armpit, they curl towards the left chest, the left elbow, the left wrist, the left fingers past the left wrist. Keep reaching, reaching, reaching just with your right hand. Now reach back through your right foot, your right heel. And we should find something that's opening on the upper back as you keep reaching your right hand towards and past the left. Yep, and then gently you'll unwind and come back onto your backs. Very nice there. Look, Modern Dance 101. Good job there, guys. All right, go ahead and bend your knees, plant your feet firmly on the floor. Feet are hip distance apart. And the first thing that you'll just do is keep your feet glued onto the floor and open your knees as wide as you can. And then bring them back together. And so really keep the soles of your feet on the floor and just open and close the knees. So we're trying to rejoin the two innominate bones of the hips. so that as we do these next things for the back, you feel really stable. So the whole sole of the foot stays on the floor, especially the inner edge of your feet. Great. Awesome. Let's do two more. Nice work. And then after this next one, you'll go ahead and bring the feet to parallel and neutral if they're not. And then your choice. Some of you will keep your arms right here. Some of you will reach your arms up and over your head. We're going to do about 10 of these. So if you want to try changing variations, you're free to do that. But as you inhale, you'll start to push through your feet and roll your tailbone up towards your knees. And then as you exhale, you'll start to roll down. And so because we're doing 10 of these, you can start really small and then get bigger, but we're basically rolling up and down into a bridge. And it might start super small. You might just rock your pelvis and that's it. You might then gradually work through the lumbar spine and that's it. You might then start to work through your thoracic spine. But you're just basically rolling up and down your spine. And if your arms are alongside your ears, as you roll down, you can reach the fingers up and away and find the traction of the vertebra. And if the arms are out and to the side, just notice how the shoulder blades impact how high it feels like you can comfortably go. Awesome. Now we've got about 4 more sets, and you're just taking your time. What does it feel like to really be embodied? To be in the breath, to be in the movement right here, right now. Awesome. At the end of this next little bridge, you're going to come down and you'll take a moment to then extend your legs and come back to that giant X shape. Take a moment to notice what the body feels now. If there's any one part of you that wants to rock the heels again, do that. If you'd like to be still, do that. But just notice what you feel. Those that are in movement come to stillness. And then we're all going to roll to our right side. And then you'll continue to roll up to sit, or rather make your way to hands and knees. Now at this point, let's bring our blocks to the top outer corners of our space. If your knees are such that you would like a blanket, go ahead and put a blanket underneath your knees. Oh, this is on your light stand or your camera stand, Roberta. I've just realized how your thing is so high. I didn't realize that. Got it. Okay. And then once you find yourself on hands and knees, we're going to deconstruct cats and cows just so we know that that's what's going on. I took a thing with Mary Richards recently, and she was talking about frozen shoulder and how this was something we needed to do. So the first thing that you're going to do is with your hands directly underneath your shoulders, your knees directly underneath your hips, I want you to draw your shoulders up towards your ears and then draw your shoulders down towards your hips. And you're going to just do about 5 of these. So the shoulders, we're not rounding the spine. You're just drawing the shoulders up towards your ears and then drawing your shoulders down towards your hips. And so this is called elevation when the shoulders come towards your ears and depression when the shoulders go down towards your waist. And so we're just elevating and depressing the scapula on the spine. And you're just feeling what that feels like as you go up and down. Okay, we'll do about 2 more. And just noticing how the muscles are acting in order to make that happen. Okay, let's go ahead and come to stillness now. And now we're going to try protraction, retraction. So I want you to push the floor away and widen your shoulder blades on your back. And then I want you to see if you can melt the heart and draw your shoulder blades to touch on your back. And so you'll do about 5 more of those. So protraction is when the shoulder blades are widening, and retraction is when they're trying to touch. You're just feeling what that feels like. So protraction and retraction. And everything else is staying pretty neutral to the best of your ability. You're just trying to move the scapula around your ribs. Okay, let's do one more. Fantastic. Now, the next time you retract, so your shoulder blades are together, let's go ahead and drop your belly, lift your tail, lift your head, cow shape. And then as you exhale, push the floor away, round through the spine, protract your shoulder blades, tuck your chin to your chest. Awesome. Now you do 5 cats and cows, and just notice if you notice anything different, having first elevated and depressed the shoulders, and then protracted and retracted as you go into your cats and cows. Does it feel like there's more movement in your upper thoracic spine? Nice work. You got 2 more on your own, and you're just inhaling as you cow and exhaling as you cat. Awesome. The next time you inhale, take a moment to pause. As you exhale, curl your toes and lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Now, with this being your first down dog, you might choose to keep your knees pretty bent and then lift your hip bones up, your pubic bone back. There you go, Erica. And just take a moment to pause and breathe here. And then we're going to bend just our right knee. Reach your left heel towards the wall behind you or maybe towards the floor beneath you. And just notice what that feels like. Right knee's bent, left heel is reaching towards or behind you. And then go ahead and bend the opposite knee. So now your left knee is bent and you're reaching your right heel back to the wall behind you, maybe towards the floor beneath you. And just feeling what that feels like. Awesome. And then go ahead and bend both knees. As you're ready, draw your right knee to your nose, shift your weight forward into a plank pose, curl your chin to your chest, and just hover here for a moment in this weird knee to nose position. And then gently plant the foot between your hands. Nice work. From here, let's bring our hands to our blocks, or maybe you keep your hands on the floor. Push down into your front foot, lift up through your inner back thigh, and then I want you to ripple almost from your back left foot through the leg, through the pelvis, through the stomach, through the chest, through the head to find, yep, one long line. And just notice what that feels like to find this length from your back foot, the rudder of your ship, through the crown of your head. Take a breath in here. As you exhale, straighten your front leg long. Shift your sternum to your shin. Nice. And then we'll do that 3 more times. So inhale, bend the front knee. Find the length. And then exhale, straighten the front leg. You might choose to peel the sole of the foot up and away from the floor as you go back. And you've got 2 more on your own, and you're just breathing and moving. And as you come forward, still keep that left inner thigh engaged. Nice work. Last one. This time when you straighten your right leg, pause there. Some of you will walk your blocks back just a little bit so they stay underneath your shoulders. Some of you might choose to walk your back foot in forward just a little bit so you feel like you have stability. Some of you may choose to peel the sole of your right foot up and away from the floor. And some of you will choose to stay right here. Some of you will lift your chest parallel to the floor. And then maybe externally rotate your right leg. So from the top of your right hip, your right leg turns towards the right, your right toes still pull towards your knee, and you're just pausing and you're breathing and you're saying, hello, hamstrings. Great. Next in breath, re-neutralize the foot, bend the knee, plant the foot, plant your hands, and then see if you can push down so much through your hands that you can draw your right heel to your right butt. So reverse what we just did. Yep. And then step the right foot back to meet the left for plank. Awesome. Take a breath in here. Take a breath out. On your next exhale, you might lower your knees to the mat or just lower all the way down. Nice modification there, Barbara, with the blocks. Once you find yourself onto your abdomen, reach out through the legs, press down into the tops of your feet, and then pull your hands back isometrically to pull your heart and sternum forward. Now from here, I want you to check in. What does it feel like to elevate your shoulder blades? So draw them up towards your ears. What does it feel like to depress your shoulder blades? Draw them away. What does it feel like to retract your shoulder blades? So draw them onto your back. Does that allow you to lift more of your chest up and away from the floor? Yeah. Next exhale, lower all the way down. Inhale, come to hands and knees. And exhale back to downward facing dog. 3 steady breaths. And you'll just take a moment to breathe here. 3 steady breaths. Great. On your next exhalation, draw your left knee to your nose, round through your spine. Draw your heel pretty close to your pelvis, and then carefully plant that foot between your hands. Great. From here, hands come to blocks. And then root down into your front foot, root down into your back foot. And again, finding the elongation from your back foot. So feeling like you're rippling up the spine from your right foot, through the leg, through the pelvis, through the stomach, through the chest, through the head, finding that long line. Yeah, there you go, Barbara. Take a breath in here, and then exhale. Go ahead and straighten your front leg. Awesome. And you've got 4 of these. So you inhale and you bend your front knee. And you exhale and you straighten your front leg. Maybe you peel the sole of your left foot up and away from the floor. Maybe you don't. You're just pausing and you're breathing and you're feeling what this feels like. Okay, after you've done 4, you'll stay with your front leg straight. So some of you may want to walk the back foot in. Some of you may want to walk your blocks back. Some of you may want to peel the sole of your left foot up and away from the floor, and then maybe externally rotate the whole left thigh. Then notice what it feels like if you lift your spine parallel-ish to the floor as you draw your outer left hip back, and you're just breathing. What sensations are present in your body right now? And how can you send your breath right there to support them? On your next in-breath, bring the foot back to neutral, bend the knee, plant the foot, plant the palms. And then again, you're going to want to scoop the low belly and see if you can hover your left heel close to your butt. And then shoot your left foot back to your right. Plank pose. Take a breath in here. And then as you're ready, either lower the knees down or shift your weight forward and lower all the way down. Once you're on your stomach, again, hands are next to the low ribs, extend out through the feet. Now this time I want you to just notice what happens if I ask you to draw your shoulder blades up towards your ears, draw your shoulder blades onto your back, and then push down into your hands. Now as you push down into your hands, you pull your hands back and pull your heart forward. Now notice what happens if I tell you to push into your big toes and pinky toes evenly. And then notice what happens if I ask you to elevate your shoulders and then depress your shoulders and then draw them onto your back again. How does that impact your back bend? Nice work. Next exhale, lower down. Inhale, come up through hands and knees. And then exhale back to downward facing dog. Our practice in its essence, I think, is here to help us learn that every time we do something repetitive, we can approach it in a different way, and it gives us the opportunity to learn something new. Just like many of our relationships, we know many of the same people, hopefully, for long periods of time. And we probably have very similar reactions or interactions with each and every one of them. But how can we allow ourselves to approach every situation with a new sense of awareness of what things can change by simply being attuned to them? All right, on your next in-breath, raise to the balls of your feet. As you exhale, bend your knees, empty your belly, and walk or travel to the top of your space. When you get to the top of your space, go ahead and separate your feet about hip distance apart. From here, inhale, bend your knees. And then exhale, straighten your legs. All right, here we go. Inhale, bend your knees, sit your butt low, reach your arms forward, Utkatasana, chair pose. And your arms might be forward, your arms might be alongside your ears, but you're just noticing what it feels like to be in Utkatasana chair. And then on your next in-breath, stand up, reach up, look up. And then as you exhale, hands through heart center. Okay, go ahead and separate your feet about outer hip distance apart. We haven't done this in years, so if you don't remember what this is, no worries. But we're going to separate our feet about outer hip distance apart. We're going to plant our hands on tops of our thighs. We're going to do Agnisara. Agnisara is basically just cats and cows happening only in our pelvis. So as you exhale, you're going to scoop the low belly and round the spine, trying to pull the organs up. And as you inhale, you're going to relax that and come back to more of a neutral spine. And we're going to do about, I don't know, 10 of these. And you're just trying to hollow out the organs and let them go. And so your heads are just in alignment with your spine. So, sometimes it feels good to really just round into the upper spine. Sometimes it just feels good to let the head just sort of do the cats and the cows with it. But you're just letting your head do whatever it's doing, and you're really trying to tone the organs. Barbara, can you straighten your arms more? Yep. And if you want to, you can actually separate your feet a little bit. Good, Laura. Awesome. Let's do our last one. And then when you're done, you'll just gently release. You'll inhale, you'll stand up, you'll take a moment to just be still. Draw your feet back to hip distance apart. And just take a moment to pause and a moment to breathe. Okay, go ahead and look behind you. If your blanket is still there, please move it. And then let's move on. At the top of our space, inhale, circle sweep your arms up and overhead. That was quick, Roberta. As you exhale, fold forward at your hips, Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, bend your knees, plant your palms, step one foot back, step the other foot back, plank pose. Inhale, shift your weight forward, and exhale, lower through Chaturanga. Inhale into Cobra or Up Dog, your choice. And then exhale back to Downward Facing Dog, 3 breaths. Great. You just pause and you breathe. How is this moment different than any other time you've done it? Inhale, press to the balls of your feet. Exhale, bend the knees, empty the belly, travel to the top of your space. Great. From there, inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, sit, Utkatasana, chair pose. And then inhale, stand up, reach up, look up. And exhale, hands to your hips. Okay, you're going to hold on to your hips now. We're going to shift the weight into our right leg and we're going to float our left leg up. So it's been a while since we've done these, but I want you to make little circles with your knee. And as a reminder, the bigger you make the circle, the more taxing it is for your core as it is for your supporting leg. And after you've gone about 4 or 5 one direction, we probably should go the other direction. So switch the direction. And again, the bigger you make it, the harder it is. So you mitigate that for you. Whoa. All right. Let's go ahead and release that. Plant the foot, shift the weight to the left leg, float the right leg up. And again, we're making circles and we're trying to do it with our whole thigh bone in the hip socket. And the bigger you make the circle, the more challenging it is. So you mitigate that for you. And then again, reverse the direction. Do, 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 do. Okay. Let's come back to center, release that, shift the weight back to the right leg, float the left leg up, externally rotate the left leg, bring the left foot to touch the left thigh or calf or ankle, wherever it wishes to be, and then release your hands to heart center for Vrikshasana, tree pose. And just notice, wobbling of the supporting leg is totally fine. But notice if you feel a little bit more stable after having done the other stuff first. Got 2 more breath cycles here. And we just pause and we breathe. And then when you're ready to come out, you internally rotate the left leg, put the left leg on the floor, bring your hands back to your hips, and then shift your weight to your left leg, float the right leg up, externally rotate the right leg, bring the right foot to touch the inside edge of your left calf, left ankle, Left shin, use the right hand to support if needed, and then release the hands to heart center. And you just pause and you breathe and you notice, how is this side different? Even if our left ankle is wobbling, that's totally fine. How do we continue to breathe with it? Nice work. When you're ready, you're going to gently release the right leg back to neutral and plant the foot hip distance apart. Cool, that worked out pretty well. Let's move on. Inhale, circle sweep your arms up and overhead. Exhale, fold forward at your hips, Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. And then exhale, bend your knees, plant your palms, step one leg back, step the other leg back, plank pose. From there, you can either go back to downward facing dog or shift through an up dog or cobra, your choice. And then when you get back to down dog, you'll just take a couple of breaths there. That's a very good down dog, Barbara. That looks very symmetrical and balanced in both arms. Feels nice in your pelvis too, right? Yeah, okay. Next in breath, sweep your right leg up and back. As you exhale, bend your knee, open and stack the hip, and just take a moment to pause and breathe here. Notice if the weight has shifted all to your left shoulder, or if you can keep the weight even in your shoulders. So press down more into your right hand, Roberta. There we go. On your next exhale, knee to nose, round through the spine. Tuck your heel really close to your pelvis, and then plant your foot between your hands. Nice. From here, spin your back foot down and bring yourself up into warrior two. And you'll just take a moment to pause. Make sure that your feet are aligned how you would like them to be aligned today. So if you need to separate them further apart, right to left, do that. If you want them further apart, front to back, do that. And then notice, can you draw your outer right hip back as you bend into your right knee? And then what does it feel like if you push into your left pinky toes? And then what does it feel like if you press into both feet and draw them in towards each other and that energy comes up the legs? And then notice what you need to do to have your pelvis feel like it's just easy here and that the spine just extends out of the spine effortlessly. And then notice what you need to do to allow the shoulder blades to depress so they just or descend down the back as the arms extend out. Nice work. And then notice about your neck. Is there any tension in your neck and your jaw and your eyes? On your next in-breath, go ahead and straighten your front leg. As you exhale, reach forward, out, and down, and bring your right hand to a shin, to a block, to the floor, whatever feels best for you. And you take a moment to notice if you need to adjust your feet a little bit. Does it feel like your left heel wants to swim back a bit? Does it feel like the top of your left hip wants to come forward a little bit so your right hip can go back? Do you notice if you need to bring a slight bend into your front knee? Can your spine just elongate effortlessly out of your pelvis? And then what about the shoulder blades? Can you retract them on your back so they come together so that your heart opens and your head can lean back? And then where's your arm? How does that feel? How is your breath? On your next in-breath, turn your gaze to the floor, bend your knee, plant your palms, step yourself back to plank pose. Your option to cycle through, or maybe you just go back to down dog and you breathe. But you just take a moment to pause and you breathe and you notice. Notice what you notice. Nice work, Robin. You're modifying as needed. And you just pause and you breathe. On your next in-breath, go ahead and inhale, sweep your left leg up and back. Bend your left knee, open and stack your left hip. Yep. And you're just paying attention. How do the shoulder blades, good job, guys, stay pretty similar or symmetrical on this side? And then gently knee to nose, round through the spine, and plant the foot between your hands. Great. From here, spin your right foot to the floor, and then bring yourself up for Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. And when you're up, take the time to align your feet. Do you need them more? Do you need more width front to back? Do you need more width right to left? Once you've figured that out for you, you'll start to notice what happens if you push down into your front foot and draw your outer left hip back and press down into your right pinky toe. And then suck your feet together and feel that energy come up the inner legs into the pelvis. And then notice if maybe your right front hip wants to come forward just a little bit so that your sacrum feels like it's got space. And so your spine just elongates and grows out of the pelvis. And then notice what's happening in the shoulders. You really allow the shoulder blades to just depress, not forcefully, but they just rest down the spine, and you extend out through your pinky fingers and almost feel like you have armpit balloons or something. Your arms are just floating there. And your gaze is resting over your front middle finger. Nice job. And then you're relaxing any tension around your face and your jaw and your eyes. On your next in-breath, go ahead and straighten your front leg long. And as you exhale, let's try shifting our pelvis back this time as you reach forward through your left hand. Yep, and then lower your left hand to shin, block, or floor. And then again, take a moment to notice. Does your right heel feel like it wants to swim back just a little bit more? Do you need to bring a slight bend into your left knee? That's a front knee. Do you notice that you can then draw your outer left hip back and really keep the spine as an extension of the pelvis? So it's just long. And then as the spine is long, maybe you retract the shoulder blades even more so that the heart leans forward and maybe your head can lean back. And then what's happening with that top arm? Nice work. On your next in-breath, turn your gaze to the floor. That's very pretty, Robin. Bend your knees, plant your hands on the mat, and step yourself back to plank. Maybe you cycle through, maybe you don't, but you just take a moment to breathe. Nice job there, Laura. Yeah, one piece there, Erica. Yep. And you just pause and you breathe. And you pause and you breathe. Okay. Next in breath, raise to the balls of your feet. As you exhale, bend your knees, empty your belly, travel to the top of your space. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, bend your knees, sit your butt low, reach your arms high, Utkatasana, chair pose. We'll just take 2 breath cycles here. At the end of your next exhalation, you'll inhale, stand up, reach up, look up. And then exhale, lower your hands alongside your hips. Okay, let's move on. Inhale, circle, sweep your arms up and overhead. Exhale, fold forward at your hips, Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. As you exhale, bend your knees, plant your palms, make your way to plank. You can either step back to plank, you could jump back to plank, you could hop back to plank, you could do whatever you want, but make your way to plank. And then you either cycle through an up dog or cobra, or you make your way back to downward facing dog. Okay. Nice work. All right, let's move on. Inhale here. As you exhale, round your right knee to your nose. Step your right foot between your hands. Nice job. Now, find weight into your front foot. Find that length from your back foot all the way through the crown of your head. Now start to make your belly light and bring your spine up to vertical. So push down into your feet. Fantastic. high crescent lunge. And so the stability from that really, ironically enough, comes from our back foot. So the more that we find that line of energy coming all the way up, we just find that it just really the rudder of our ship. Okay, and so we're just going to pause here for a moment. Erica had asked that we do balancing poses, and this is actually surprisingly a balancing pose if you're on your back, ball of the foot. On our next exhale, we're going to lower our hands down to the floor or the blocks beneath us. Then shift your weight forward and float your back leg parallel to the floor. Now, as you're here, make sure your inner left thigh spirals up, so your left pinky toe spirals down. See if you can find that line of energy from your foot through your pelvis, through your shoulders, through your head. And then on your next exhalation, we're just going to go ahead and lightly lower our left foot to the floor for pyramid pose. So you're going to step it to the floor, and it's going to be in just a bit. You're going to walk your blocks back so they're underneath your shoulders. And then some of you will just take a few breaths to keep lifting your spine forward, halfway lift. Some of you will melt your sternum towards your right shin bone. But you're just going to take a couple of breaths here and just notice what that feels like. Nice. Next in breath, go ahead and bend your front knee. Plant your hands on your mat. Step yourself back to downward facing dog. Your choice to stay here or cycle through an up dog or cobra, but you're paying attention to what feels appropriate for you, making the choice based upon what is needed in this moment. A lot of times we do things so repetitively that we don't remember that each repetition is a choice. Every time we meet with a friend or a family member, coworker, it's a choice. Just because something has happened in the past does not mean we need to do it in the present. Even if something will happen in the future, does not mean you need to do it in the present. All right, inhale here. As you exhale, round your left knee to your nose. Step your foot between your hands. Great. Again, push into the front foot. Find that line of extension from your back foot all the way through your crown. And then suddenly you'll find, yeah, look at that. It just makes it a lot easier to then come all the way up to high crescent lunge. So you'll just make the belly light and slowly come up by rooting into the feet, finding that stability first. And then maybe the arms add on. And you just pause and you breathe. And you pause and you breathe. And you're really paying attention to what that right foot, that's the back foot's doing. What the left sit bone, that's the front foot, what it's doing is it's pushing down into the front foot. Nice work. And then when you're ready, hands will come back down to the floor or your blocks. You'll shift your weight forward. You'll float your back leg, your right leg parallel to the floor. Awesome. And you just pause here and you breathe. You lift your inner right thigh even more so your right pinky toe points straight down to the mat. And you just pause and you breathe. Barbara, lift your right hip up. Whole right hip. There we go. And then when you're ready, gently lower your right foot to the floor for pyramid pose. Walk your hands back so your hands are underneath your shoulders. And you just pause here and you notice what you notice. Erica, draw your outer left hip back for me just a smidge. It's your front hip. There we go. Next in breath, go ahead and bend your front knee. Plant your palms on the mat. Step yourself back to downward facing dog. Your choice. Maybe cycle through, maybe not. But again, what feels appropriate right here, right now? Awesome. Okay. Once you've made it to down dog, just go ahead and inhale. Raise to the balls of your feet. And then exhale, travel to the top of your space. Nice work. From there, inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, fold in. Inhale, sit, Utkatasana, chair pose. And then on your next in-breath, stand up, reach up, look up. All right, and then lower your hands alongside your hips. Cool. We're going to do 2 more balancing poses while we're here. So first one, let's go ahead and bring our hands to heart center. Shift your weight to your right leg, float your left leg up. Cool. You're going to scoop your belly. You're going to start to hinge forward at your hips, and you're going to start to kick your left leg back. Now, again, you're finding that line of energy from your left leg through the hips, through the belly, through the chest, through the head. And you're just finding that line of energy and noticing that it's activating the back body and hopefully making this a little easier. And then when you're ready to come out, you reverse engineer that. So the left leg comes back up to one-legged Tadasana. Great. Release the left foot. Let's try that on the other side. Shift the weight to the left leg, float your right leg up. And you really want to make this leg super active. So even though my heart's going forward, I'm kicking back with as much energy. So kick back with as much energy as you're going forward to counterbalance the weight. So it's really going all the way from your right foot through the hip, through the shoulders, through the head. Yeah, nice job, guys. And then gently reverse engineer that. Come back up and relax the foot. So that's balance number 1. Balance number 2, I'm going to show you while you move around and do whatever you need to, because we're going to combine a couple of things in one. So you're going to start in one-legged Tadasana, but you're going to kick the foot back and open and splay all the way into half moon. And in order to make that happen, everything has to have the same level of energy. So you're kicking back, reaching forward, reaching up, reaching down. Everything is happening at the same time. Okay. Any questions about any of that? No? Okay. Give it a shot. Let's start on your right leg. Lift your left leg up. And really make sure your left foot is active. So toes are pulling up towards your knee. Yep. And then you'll start to kick back through your leg. Reach your heart forward. Reach your right hand down. Reach your left arm up. Lift your inner left thigh up. Yep. And then gently reverse that rather. Drawing the knee back to center. Coming back up to stand. Oh man, I made that look way too easy. Okay, try the other side. So right leg lifts. And then to come in, you're just going to kick the right leg back, reach the heart forward, reach the left hand down, reach the right arm up. Yep. And then slowly come out. Do it once again. Bringing the leg back to center, coming back up to stand, releasing the foot. Cool. Planted. Shake that out. We're going to try that again. Do we have questions about that, or is it just hard? I can't see any of your faces. All I see are feet, so I don't really know what we're going off of here. All right. Hard. Thank you, Roberta. Okay, try it again. You'll notice that what makes it hard, this is like one of those things that you really have to commit to every single part of your body moving. If you only give your energy to one thing, it's going to make it super hard. Everything has to work in tandem in order for it to connect. So when you're ready, you'll try it again. And you really want to focus on like lifting up as much as you're pushing down. You want to reach out as much as you're pulling in. Everything is happening at the same time in order to find the balance. That was better, Roberta. And then unwind. And you take your time. You're all doing it at your own. I think the coming out is harder for you, Roberta. You did it going in, and then coming out seemed hard. Okay, let's try the other side. Nice work there, Barbara. Falling is okay. Falling is a-okay. Yeah, Laura. Yep. Yep. Good job, Erica. Nice, Barbara. Nice, Barbara. Nice, Barbara. Keep lifting that inner right thigh, Barbara. And then gently come out. All right, we're done with that. Once you get back to the top, go ahead and shake it out. That was hard. Shake it out. And then let's move on. Go ahead and bring yourself to the top of your space. Blocks are at the top of the space still. And then when you're ready, inhale, circle, sweep your arms up and overhead. Exhale, fold forward at your hips, Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. And then exhale, bend your knees, plant your palms, make your way back to plank. Yep, cycle through an up dog or cobra, and then make your way back to downward facing dog. Okay. It's been a while since we've done this as well, so some of you may choose to do Sukhi Randrasana instead, but you'll draw your right knee towards your right wrist, your right foot towards your left wrist for pigeon pose. Yep. You have your blocks there. If you want to put a block underneath your supporting hip, by all means do that. You have a blanket there. If you want to put a blanket underneath your supporting hip, please do that. If you want your blocks underneath your hands, you've got them there too. So you figure out what feels best for you in your pigeon pose. And then notice if you want your right shin bone more at a diagonal, so it's, your right foot's closer to your left hip, or if it feels okay for you to go more towards that 90-degree angle. Only you know what feels best for you for right now. Some of you will just stay right here. Your back leg is super long and engaged and your heart is lifted. Some of you will bend your back knee, take your left hand and reach around and grab your left foot with your left hand. Some of you will be like, Jessica, that's not happening anywhere on this shape of the world. And then if that's the case, you might use your strap to hook your foot. Or you might just be like, yeah, I'm not doing any of that. And that's fine. But you choose based upon what feels good for you. And you just take a couple of breaths here. We're pausing and we're breathing and we're pausing and we're breathing. Okay. Awesome. Those of you that are holding on to your foot, gently release that. You might now choose to walk yourselves forward and let your pigeon take a nap. You just pause here. We're really noticing what's happening in the sensation, what's happening in the breath, what's happening in the body. We've got about 3 more breath cycles here. The end of your third exhalation, you'll start to walk your spine back up to vertical, plant your hands, crawl your back toes under, step yourself back to downward facing dog. And after you've taken a couple of breaths there, you'll come in on the other side. So your left knee towards your left wrist, your left foot towards your right wrist. You might need to walk your back leg back. Again, you have your blocks, you have your blanket. Maybe you pad up underneath your left hip. Okay. And some of you will just stay right here. Notice if you want your left shin more at an angle, or if you want your left shin more at that 90-degree angle. It's totally up to you, but you're going to pick what feels best for you. Some of you will stay here. Some of you will bend your back knee. You'll use your right hand. You'll grab your right foot and just find that crazy quad stretch there. Some of you will be like, yeah, Jessica, that's not happening. And then you have to take a strap around your foot, create a loop, and just hold there. And ironically enough, the strap kind of feels nice because it's just like I'm not having to do much. It's like I've got a backpack on or something. And some of you will be like, yeah, that's not happening anytime in this life, and that's totally fine. You just pause and you'll breathe. And those of you that are holding your back foot, take a couple more breaths there. And then when you are ready, you'll gently release your foot. And then you might start to walk your hands forward to let your pigeon take a nap. You just take a couple of breaths there and just notice how this feels. It's been a long time since we've visited pigeon. Just notice how that feels. And you've got about 3 more breath cycles here. And then at the end of your next, or rather your third exhalations, go ahead and start to walk your hands back up. Curl your back toes under, lift your hips high, downward facing dog, and take about 3 breaths. After you've taken 3 breaths, you'll bend your knees. You'll plant your knees on the mat. You'll cross at your ankles and you'll sit down on your butt. From there, extend your legs in front of you. And this might be an opportune moment for some of us to sit up on our blanket. So if it feels like your low back is tight or your hamstrings are tight, you might want to sit on the edge of a blanket. Great. And then from here, we'll go ahead and bend our left knee. You're going to cross your left foot outside of your right leg. Okay, and then we're going to wrap our right arm around our left thigh and our left hand will come out to the left. Now, this is going to sound weird today, but I want you to really focus on flexing through your right foot. And we're going to imagine that the whole twist is starting from our right hip. So our right hip is going to go forward, our right foot is going to go forward. And then you're going to push your left knee into your left arm and then into your right arm and then pull your right arm into your left knee. Scoop your belly on the left side. Really push your left big toe mound into the floor and lift up through the spine as you rotate through the vertebra. And you'll just notice that the more you allow the right leg to go forward and the left knee to push out and the right arm to pull in, you'll feel a nice stretch and compression. So stretch on the back body, compression mostly around the organs in the front body. Awesome. Now we'll gently unwind, come back through center, release the foot. Cool. Now let's try that on the other side. So go ahead and bend your right knee, cross your right leg outside of your left leg, and then wrap your left arm around your right leg, right arm comes out to the right. Now check in with your left foot. Really make sure that foot is flexed so the toes are pulling back towards your knees. And then from your hip, you're going to reach your left hip forward to your left foot and start to push your right knee into your left arm. Pull your left arm into your right knee. Scoop the belly on the right side as you lift up through the spine and rotate towards the right. And so it's really this weird, I don't know, sense of everything needing to work together to make the shape. It feels kind of nice too, actually. I like the way Emily Ampoletti teaches that this way. And then when you're ready, you're going to gently unwind, uncross the legs, reach both legs forward. Now, if you want to windshield wipers, by all means do that. If you want to shake or jumble the legs up and down, do that. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and bend our knees, plant our feet on the floor, bring our hands back behind us. And we're just going to push down through our feet, push down through our hips, and push down through your feet, push down through your hands, lift your hips high. Once your hips come up, you're just going to hug your shoulder blades onto your back. So retraction, push down through your hands, lift up through your pelvis. Awesome. And then go ahead and lower the pelvis back down. Extend your legs in front of you. And just take a moment to sit really tall for Dandasana, staff pose. Okay. From here, let's bend the left knee again. Externally rotate the left thigh. Bring the left foot to the inside edge of the right foot. Cool. This may be a great time to grab your strap if it feels like your legs are really long or your hamstrings are really tight. And you'll put your strap across the ball of your right foot. And then we're just going to pull back on the strap, lift up through the heart, and start to hinge forward at your hips. If you're not using the strap, no worries. You can just hold on to your foot and pull back and reach forward. You can also just have your hands on the floor, pulling back, reaching forward. But we're just trying to find the length in our spine. Our right toes are pulling back towards our right knee. And then we're melting forward for Janu Shirshasana. We're just pausing and we're breathing and we're seeing how that feels. And maybe you can then let your head descend towards your shin bone. And very gently, we'll start to come out of this. So walk your hands back, bring your spine up to vertical. Close your left knee in, extend your left leg long. And then we'll try that on the other side. So go ahead and bend your right knee, externally rotate your right leg. If you're using your strap, you put your strap across the ball of your right foot. You pull back on the strap, you reach up through the heart, and then you start to hinge at your hips. If you're able to hold on to your foot, you hold on to your foot. If your hands are next to your shin bones, you do that too. But the spine is long first. We're hinging at our hips. And then at some point, you'll find that you've hinged as far forward in your hips as you can, and you just want to start to round the upper back. So you'll let your head soften towards your shin bone, and you'll breathe into your back body. We've got about 2 more breath cycles here. And then at the end of your next exhalation, if you're holding the strap, release the strap, walk your hands back, walk your spine up. Take a moment to close your right leg, extend it long, sit in Dandasana. Great. And then once again, you might choose to bend your knees, walk your hands back behind your hips, and you can lift your hips up with your knees bent, or you can have your legs straight and lift your hips up, but you choose whatever is going to work for you. And you just take a couple of breath cycles there. Again, shoulder blades coming together on the back, pelvis lifts. And when you're ready, you lower your pelvis back down. You sit tall for a moment. Okay, nice work. Go ahead and turn around so your heads are towards the top of your space. When you lie down, this would be a great opportunity to cover your body with socks, with sweaters, with anything that you feel like might be nice for you to cover your body with. It'd also be a great opportunity to make sure your props are somewhere near your head in case if you wanted them. And when you find yourself on your back, the first thing I'd like you to do is just notice what it feels like to be on your back. Just flat. And you'll take a couple of breaths there. And then from this position, let's go ahead and bend your knees and plant your feet firmly on the floor. Draw your knees into your chest and give yourself a hug. So we didn't spend a lot of time in child's pose, so this is very similar to that. And you might rock a little bit. You might be still, but just notice what it feels like to be here. And if you're in movement, go ahead and come to stillness. Bring your hands through the inner edges of your thighs. Grab the outer edges of your feet. Press the soles of your feet together first, and notice how heavy you can make your butt. And maybe you just stay here. Maybe you rock a little bit. So this one feels more like your hips are coming up towards your shoulders. It's more of a lateral side body rock versus a right to left rock. And then maybe you choose to take Ananda Balasana, happy baby. Yeah, somebody please remind me to show you that rock a little bit different or later. I don't know if I'm explaining that well. And then you'll just pause and you'll breathe here for a couple breaths. And after you feel like you've explored your happy baby, if there's anything else that feels like it might be super nice for you to explore, by all means do that. So maybe a supported bridge might feel nice. Maybe some supine twists or figure four might feel nice. Just notice what feels good to you, trusting that this moment is its own unique animal. What you need right now may not be what you needed yesterday or what you may need tomorrow, but that's okay. I think it's funny that in an acting context, one of the general principles is to live truthfully under imaginary circumstances. But it's like, why can't we live truthfully under real circumstances? Like how can we give ourselves permission to just be present so that we're not acting on autopilot, we're not acting from a sense of obligation, we're not acting out of a sense of pattern almost, but instead truthfully based upon the circumstances of the moment, based upon who we are, how we're feeling. Our practice gives us that opportunity to really explore and inhabit that state of being for a while so that we can take it off the mat, so we can bring it into our lives in other ways that might fulfill us. And so, as you're here for these last few breaths, doing whatever feels appropriate to you at this moment in time, I want to invite you to remind yourself that the gifts and the blessings that you find in this practice can be taken off the mat and into life. The ways that you feel at ease and at home and strong and curious, they can be taken there too. And if you're still in movement, by all means, finish up. When you're ready, start to make your way to your final resting pose. As you get there, my invitation is to make yourself as comfortable as possible so that you can remain present. And all I mean by that is if your room is cold, cover your body. If a part of your body feels like it needs some support, go ahead and give it to it. And then once you're settled into your shape, the focus for today is to find alignment. So I want you to notice what it feels like to really find the space where it feels like you're growing out of your feet. You're feeling that energy come up through the ankles. You're feeling that energy come up through the swells of the knees. You're feeling it continue to evolve into the pelvis and extend through the pelvis up through the lumbar spine into the thoracic spine, out into the ribs, coming all the way up into the cervical spine, through the crown of your head, Noticing that as you find that verticality, that length from the toes to the crown, you'll then find space where the shoulder blades, they really can depress. You might also find that they slightly retract so that the heart remains open. And as you continue to stay here, continue to bring your awareness back moment by moment, breath by breath, to how you can allow some of the energy to just dissipate, to fall away, so that the body can come back into its sense of alignment, so that you can come back into your state of alignment. I'll leave you here with you for the next few moments and the next few breaths, and I'll let you know when it's time to come out. Return your awareness to your breath. If there's any part of you longing to linger here, please stay here. When you're ready, allow movement to re enter into your form in whatever way feels nourishing to you. Those in stillness, stay as long as you'd like. Those in movement, start to make your way to your right side. Take a couple of breaths on your side, and then slowly use your hands to draw your spine to vertical. When you are vertical, take the opportunity to sit well. So if that means you need to remove any flesh from underneath your sit bones, do that. If it means you need to circle your shoulders or your head, do that. And then once you are complete, you're going to turn both of your palms to face up and stack your hands on top of each other and just let them rest in your lap. And then slide your hands back to the point where your thumbs touch. And then see if you can bend your fingers just a little bit more so that it feels like you're holding your fingers in each other. And then from there, softly let the gaze close or the eyes rest on the floor and sit tall through your spine. So this is considered one of the universal mudras. It's supposed to be one that if you sit in meditation for a long time, it allows you to notice when you've lost your sense of presence, either because your thumbs will come apart or you'll start to just clench in places. And so we'll just take a couple of breaths here. And I want you to notice how you can still find that elongation from your pelvis, finding the length of the vertebra growing out of the spine, how you can find the softness in the shoulders, the softness in the arms. And then just notice how the breath is working right here and right now. Continue to just notice how the breath is working right here, right now. Take 3 more breaths. The end of your third exhalation, bring your hands to Anjali Mudra, heart center. In Anjali Mudra, receive the weight of your thumbs into your sternum. Press your sternum into your thumbs and then See if you can lift your occipital bone from the base up just a smidge so the back of your neck lengthens and it feels like your chin drops just a bit. Exhale all the breath from your mouth. Take a big breath in. Audible breath out. Inhale for Om. Join if you'd like. Om. Draw your thumbs to your third eye. May our thoughts be clear. Draw your thumbs to your lips. May our words be kind. And draw your thumbs to your heart center. May our hearts be open. The light, the breath, the awareness that can choose moment by moment within me honors and salutes the light, the breath, the awareness that can choose moment by moment within each of you. Namaste.